For anybody who is on a health and weight loss journey, they know that there is a huge emphasis right now on adequate protein intake. And this is for very good reason. My name is Dr. Lindsay Ogle, and I'm a board certified family medicine and obesity medicine physician. And every day, I help patients improve their health and well being through lifestyle optimization and the utilization of safe and effective medications, most commonly GLP-1 medications, but I do use other medicines as well. For all of my patients and all of my listeners who are on a GLP-1 medication, you know that it can be difficult and challenging to take in enough protein when your appetite is suppressed and you're feeling full on very small amounts of food. That is why we need to prioritize protein. This is why people are talking about it and giving tips and emphasizing its importance. Protein and fiber should be the highlight of every meal and snack because they are so important for your health and well-being. Not only do they help with stabilizing and managing blood sugars and regulating hunger and satiety hormones, they also help build our bodies and our organs, and they help to maintain the muscle that we have worked so hard to build throughout our entire life. So protein is a priority. And if you are struggling to get the amount of protein that you need through just whole foods alone, then protein shakes can be a wonderful supplement. Often I get asked, what supplements do I recommend for patients on GLP-1s or for overall health? And really, protein supplementation with protein powders and protein shakes is probably the number one. The reason this can be so powerful is it concentrates the amount of protein that you're getting into a smaller liquid package that makes it easier to consume higher grams of amount of protein at one sitting. How much protein do you need? I talk about this a little bit more in a prior video, which I will link above, but on average, about 100 grams per person. This can be more, it can be less depending on your gender and your body size and your activity level. So talk to your doctor or your dietitian about the exact recommendation for you. But most people, to shoot for around 100, give or take, is a pretty good goal, at least to start with. And for many people, this will look like about 30 grams of protein with each meal, and then maybe a snack of about 10 grams throughout the day. And again, that can vary depending on your meal structure, but that's a good way to space out your quota throughout the day. Again, if you are struggling, protein shakes can be a great way to sneak in some more protein. They can be utilized as meal replacements if you, especially for people who don't like to eat breakfast, don't have time to eat breakfast. I always recommend eating breakfast, so a protein shake, grab it pre-made on the go, is wonderful. It can also be great to take for road trips, or if you are, just craving something sweet, sometimes that can hit the spot. Protein shakes have a lot of, uses in your diet. They should not replace your whole diet. If you are relying on protein shakes to get all of your protein in the day, definitely talk with your doctor. Ask for a referral to a dietitian and they can help you to incorporate more protein. But if you just want a quick, highlight of how to introduce more protein and adequate nutrition while on a GLP-1, click the link below and I will send that to you. But today, let's talk about 8 pre-made protein shake brands and compare them. Now, if you missed last week's video or podcast, definitely check that out. We reviewed 8 brands of protein bars. There was actually a lot more variation in the protein bars for the calories and macronutrients. There is not as much variation in the pre-made protein shakes. And so this will be a little bit of a quicker review, but I'm still going to go over 8 brands. There are many, many more. There are so many different flavors. As I mentioned in last week's podcast or video, I talked about how I personally really like chocolate. So all of these comparisons were with the chocolate flavored option that's available, unless there wasn't one, and I will mention that. But there are lots of different flavors available, so I definitely recommend trying different brands, trying different flavors until you find the one that you like and that works for your body. And if it's a tie, choose the least expensive option. Some of these are definitely more expensive than others, and as much as we can save money, I definitely recommend that. So we'll start with one brand that I actually don't recommend, and it is Equate, which is Walmart's store brand. The reason I do not recommend this is because there is not as much protein as the other options, and it has more added sugars. It's also a smaller bottle. It's only 8 ounces. It has 220 calories and only 9 grams of protein. And if you listened to last week's talk on protein bars, I recommended at least 20 grams for protein bars. And for all of the other shakes, they hit that 20-gram marker, and most of them hit 30 grams or more. So to only have 9 grams of protein is honestly pretty weak for a protein shake. It also has 32 grams of carbohydrates, 15 of which are sugars, and 14 of those are added sugars. Added sugars specifically is something that I recommend to limit as much as possible. Currently, labels are required to list the amount of added sugars. So that's something that when I'm buying a new product, I always look at the amount of added sugars, and I try to get the lowest amount possible. The next 2 options that I want to go over actually have a decent amount of fiber in them, and which I found very interesting. So the first brand here is Slim Fast, and it's specifically the Slim Fast High Protein Shake. Again, I was looking at the creamy chocolate option. This is an 11-ounce pre-made bottle. It has 180 calories, 20 grams of protein, 8 grams of carbs, and 5 of those are fiber. So it's a pretty decent source of fiber and protein. So if you like the Slim Fast shakes, that's a great option to consider. Many of my patients have used those a lot in the past and no longer can tolerate them, and that is okay. But if you've never tried them, could be something to consider. The other brand that also has 5 grams of fiber is Muscle Milk. This was also another chocolate flavor at 11 ounces. It has 160 calories, so 20 calories less than the Slim Fast. It has more protein. It has 25 grams of protein, 9 carbs, and again, 5 of those are fiber. So a great option with Muscle Milk. The next 2 brands are not necessarily like exciting or sexy brands. They are ones that I think get overlooked because they're not promoted on social media, but they are very solid options, and I think will be less expensive options because they don't have as much of those advertising dollars that are being spent. And that is Premier Protein and Ensure. The Premier Protein shake that I was looking at is, again, a chocolate flavor, 11 ounces. It has 160 calories, so overall low in calories, 30 grams of protein, so far on the higher side of protein. It only has 4 grams of carbohydrates, 1 gram of sugar, 2 grams of fiber. So it has a little bit of fiber, a lot of protein, and overall low calorie. So a great option. The Ensure protein shake, you want to make sure you're picking the max option for max protein. It has more protein in it. Another chocolate flavor that's 11 ounces. This one has 150 calories, so even a little bit less calories, 30 grams of protein, 7 grams of carbs, and 4 of those are fiber. So a little bit more fiber in the Ensure Protein Shake Max. The next two brands I see a lot on social media, and they actually have really great macronutrient compositions. The first is Alani Nu. The one that I was looking at was cookies and cream flavor, a 12-ounce pre-made bottle. It's 160 calories, 30 grams of protein, so solid source of protein. It has 6 grams of carbohydrates. 3 of those are sugar and 3 of those are fiber. So you get a little bit of fiber in there and a strong source of protein. I've never tried this brand myself. I've heard good things about how it tastes, so maybe I'll have to try that soon. I do think it's a little bit on the expensive side, but I think worth a try, especially if you tried some other brands and you did not find the taste appealing to you. This could be something to consider. Next, this is probably what I see the most, especially people who are on GLP-1s talk about this brand, and it is Fairlife. Their Core Power protein shake, this one is a 14 ounce, so you actually get a little bit more with this brand. The chocolate flavor has 170 calories, 26 grams of protein, 8 grams of carbs, 5 of those are sugar, and 2 are fiber. Fairlife also has an elite protein shake. This one has more protein in it. So because it has more protein, it has more calories. So there's 230 calories, but it has 42 grams of protein. So if you are really struggling on getting your protein in, or if you're looking for a meal replacement, this is an excellent option. Their elite version, it only has 1 more gram of carbohydrates, so it has 9 grams of carbohydrates total, and it still has those 2 grams of fiber in it. So again, a great option, especially if you're looking for a meal replacement option. The Fairlife Core Power Elite Protein Shake would be what I would go for. And if you are somebody who really prioritizes organic ingredients, then the brand that I would recommend for you is Orgain Organic Protein Shake. So their chocolate fudge 11-ounce protein shake has 160 calories, 30 grams of protein, 7 grams of carbs, 1 gram of sugar, and 2 grams of fiber. I will say I was really pleasantly surprised when I looked into these brands. All the brands except for the Equate, which I'm sorry is not a good option for a protein shake. But all the other ones are really great options, and so I would try them and find the one that tastes good to you and feels good to you after you consume it, and keep some in the house. If you can buy in bulk, that'll save you money. Some of these are on the more expensive side since they are pre-made, they're convenient. But they can be a great tool, again, especially if you are somebody who find yourself rushing out of the house often before you can eat breakfast. Grab one of these, get some solid nutrients in your system before you get started on your day. You are going to feel so much better. You're less likely to have side effects from your GLP-1 and more likely to maintain your body composition, maintain your muscle mass. Was there a brand of pre-made protein shakes that I missed that you love? If you're watching on YouTube, put that in the comments below. If you're listening through the podcast, you can follow me on social media. I am on Instagram and TikTok. My links are in the show notes below, and send me a message. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, you can send an email to support@MissouriMetabolicHealth.com. If you have questions you would like answered on this podcast, I would love to hear from you and create a video on the topic of your choosing. I hope you have an amazing week, and we will talk again next Monday.